Hi, I'm Stuart from Hi-Fi Pig, and we are at the Audio Show Deluxe 2026, and I'm here with possibly the most famous person in hi-fi in the UK, Ricardo from Absolute Sounds. Nice to have you here again.
Good, yes, I'm so pleased to be here. You know, it's, I was saying to your operator there, or your cameraman, that I have to interrupt some of the songs I play sometimes because I go into a physical state that I say to myself, I've got to make sure I don't get so much of that physical state that I reach the end of the day and I can't do it anymore. So it's the emotional state where suddenly the body goes into some sort of commotion.
Okay.
Because it feels and integrates.
But you're very much into that whole concept. You sell very high-end audio, but I've spoken to you lots and lots of times, and the thing that always comes across is not the passion for the gear, but the passion for the music and that connection that high-end audio allows you to have.
Yeah, it's a bit like, a passion for the gear is, you're right, it comes second, but it's important. It's a bit like if you're going to go hill climbing with a Vauxhall or you're going to go hill climbing with a Ferrari, the sensations are going to be different.
Of course. Yeah.
So in a sort of way, I love what the high-end equipment can deliver in terms of performance, but I prefer the performance than the equipment. Yes.
Absolutely. So what do you think? I always call high-end audio machines for joy. And you can see that when you're doing a presentation, you just mentioned it a little bit there, you do seem to get lost in that performance.
Completely.
Which is really nice to see.
Well, you know, I just want to make it clear that I don't come from the electronics or the audio industry. Before I joined, I founded Absolute Sounds in the late 70s. Previous to that, I had a good 10, 12 years in the music industry. So, and that was the live jazz and clubs and recordings, live concerts. I even put some gig together. So this is a sensation. You never forget that live sensation. So I had to bring it back home. Mm-hmm. When I married and I couldn't do the rock stuff anymore, I had to bring that sensation home because it was almost, shall we say, like a drug. You know, you had so many great live sensations. So the system building exercise was very different than the left and right and sound stage and voices and all that. That was not so much the criteria. The criteria is how much of that live energy and that live feeling can I get, back into a system. So this is what caused this long road that I'm still in, checking every day. I'm like to discover and get closer and closer, you know.
And this is 50 years of Absolute Sounds this year.
Almost. 77, so we're not exactly there.
But we're getting there.
Yeah, we're getting there, yeah.
And what are your favourite products at the moment, that you distribute?
I don't have any favourite because I tend to look at it a bit like a wine cellar, you know, and it's going to depend on what you want. But we have definitely, I think, the finest lines. What defines the finest lines is a line that has done a few tracks that are in the Formula One track race, and they've done a few years of experience, etc., and reliability, and obviously the ability to deliver that feeling. So effectively, I encourage people not to think too much about how it sounds, but more like, how does it feel? How does it feel? Yeah.
So you've got 3 rooms at this show.
4 with my wife.
4 with Cash, who I've just spoke to. What are the systems in those rooms? Okay,
we've got a nostalgic system, which is the Devore with the Trafomatic and a Lina DAC as a front end. So I would call that's a real nostalgic type of...
very back to basics, very
very
sort of purist.
70s, shall we say, very 70s. Then in another room, we've got Wilson Audio with D'Agostino new amplifier, fantastic Momentum Z, with audio research equipment as well. And obviously the consistency in all the rooms is always digital from DCS. Mm-hmm. And the other room is Magico with Nagra, and we've taken Nagra on a bit that was something that I brought as well from the rock days.
That's in the last year that you brought
Yeah,
Nagra
exactly.
on.
Yeah, I always respected the brand. In the 70s, when I was working at Warner Brothers, Claude Nobbs, which was the founder of the Montreux Jazz Festival.
So is that Funky Claude?
Yeah, I don't know if they called them ever funky. Maybe they did, I don't know. But Claude organized all these wonderful jazz concerts in Montreux, and he used to come and tease me, and I was only an employee at Warner, and I didn't have much money with those marvelous little machines. So obviously now I'm in a position to distribute it, and I came to the conclusion of the Swiss companies, it's probably the finest one that's closest to music, meaning that there is always that feeling when you go into Nagra, a bit like the one I tried to express early on, closest to the music. What is it? The music as an envelope, but not the music as bass, treble, and center stage, you understand?
So you mentioned the digital side of thing with DCS, and I know you've championed DCS for years and years. What do they bring to the party that other digital systems aren't doing?
Well, they bring that consistency that I told you, that ability to support customers from that have bought equipment 10 years ago and they still have something current if they're upgraded. But not only that, they really show a lot of experience in the digital world. And I think in the digital world, we have to have engineers. We have to have engineers. When maybe in the analog world, you just take an old circuit that you've had and you embellish it a bit with better valves, better resistors, and then you got a product. When it comes to digital, zeros and ones, you can't
hide from it.
And so I think that you should be proud here in the UK to say you got the finest, most advanced digital company. There's a lot of people making DACs out there, but I call them, some of them. I mean, of course, there's 2 or 3 competitors to DCS, although I don't think they really compete, but, they are in the same arena. But there's a lots of them what I call boutique digital. They want things to sound like their turntables, and so they stick tubes inside there. But I don't think it's necessary to do that. I think that the truth is that digital is digital and analog is analog, and you should elevate yourself from that discourse, which of the 2 formats is better. They both serve a purpose. And I always say to these clients, is the turntable better or the thing? I said, first of all, you're thinking now, you're not feeling. And 2, this is not Liverpool versus Manchester, This is enjoying music,
And having brought a vinyl front end this year to the show.
Yes, we've got the Doman with the most exquisite and I think the finest tone arm in the world at the moment, which is the Tech Das from Japan, Air Force 10, which was the last project of Mr. Nishigawa. He's no longer with us. And it's been followed on by his engineers, which is a pure 100% friction, zero friction tone arm because it's on an air bearing. And to go you out with extensively, the tracking force is applied by air pressure.
Oh, wow.
So you're not wheeling a weight, So.
You were telling me about the Doman turntable earlier on, and how it's been tested by Berkeley University?
I think it's Berkeley University, but it's certainly one of the great universities which took a lot of turntables as a case study, and a lot. I think I don't know a lot. I think less than a dozen, and thoroughly studied through the engineering and the vibration control and all that people within the university. And the Doman came first, yeah.
Okay,
and
so
I think the paper is available on the white paper is available on their website.
Okay, so 50 years of Absolute Sounds in 2027. What do you have planned to celebrate that?
We'll have a party, and we'll have some musicians with us as well.
Okay, cool.
You'll have a
I look forward to the invite in the post.
You will be one of the few.
Okay, cool. Thank you ever so much for your time.
Thank
Pleasure
you.
as always.
And thank you, yes, to you as well, to organizing with Chris a wonderful event for people to enjoy music.
I think it's working out, and I think people have realised that shows don't need to be just about getting bums on seats and the maximum number of people through the door. it's about allowing them to have that experience that you were talking about earlier on of sitting and enjoying music and being able to relax. And I think while some people sort of don't think that Kasia and the wellbeing strategist things that she does with the gong baths should have a part of an audio show, I think it's one of the best things of this show.
Absolutely.
And it stands it apart.
And she's doing extremely well, by the way.
Absolutely, yeah.
She's full all the time. Oh, yes, I the other day I felt I had a very busy day, meaning that I went through about 3 or 4 Zooms, and I had the feeling that I must have been on the phone all day. I was probably on the phone all day, and Kasia rings and he says, come for a gong bath. Of course, I've got a lot of experience, but I don't think I remember something that was so instant. I lied down, and the first wavelength came through, and I can't tell you, it was unbelievable.
Yeah, I've said
I was
exactly
restored.
the same.
I was restored.
And it's 20 minutes, and you come out of that, while you're in there, you feel completely relaxed, and then you come out and you feel energised again.
In Holland, we've got a good friend that is in the audio business as well, and he's in the business with his wife, and he does these rituals that last 12 hours, where we all dress in white, we all sleep in the same room on the floor, and the idea is that there's a corridor with 4 gongs, and then you enter that corridor, and you handed the mallets, and then everybody has got 40 minutes or half an hour, and we're supposed to wake the next people in the in the sequence with one purpose, is that the vibration never stops.
Okay, how cool.
So the next people come in, you walk out, and he takes over with his man. It lasts 12 hours. I remember my drive from Holland to London was the most perfect drive I've ever had. I thought I was like in a cushion of air.
Oh, how cool.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.